Episode 127, Omni Network, connecting every rollup. Episode 120 covered Layer 2 networks, how Arbitrum, Base, Optimism, ZK Sync, and dozens of other rollups have made Ethereum cheaper and faster by processing transactions off the main chain. But we ended that episode with an honest admission. The proliferation of Layer 2 networks has created a new problem. Ethereum in 2026 is not one network. It is dozens of networks. Each rollup has its own liquidity, its own user base, its own native tokens, and its own bridge infrastructure. Moving assets between them requires bridging. Applications on Arbitrum cannot directly interact with applications on Base. Liquidity is fragmented across chains that cannot communicate. The scaling solution has worked, but it has produced a fragmented ecosystem where users must actively manage which chain they are on and which bridge they use to get there. Omni Network was built to solve this problem. Its goal is to connect every Ethereum rollup into a unified, interoperable network where applications can operate across chains as easily as they operate on a single chain. Welcome to Crypto for Beginners. I'm Robin. Today we are covering Omni Network, the interoperability protocol positioned as the connective tissue of Ethereum's rollup ecosystem. The fragmentation problem in depth. To understand why Omni matters, you need to feel the problem it is solving at the user level. Imagine you hold ETH on Arbitrum because that is where you use DeFi regularly. You discover an excellent yield opportunity on Base. To access it, you must bridge your ETH from Arbitrum to Base, a process that involves selecting a bridge, approving a transaction, paying fees on both sides, waiting for confirmation, and then checking that your assets arrive correctly. Then you want to use those assets as collateral to borrow on Optimism. Another bridge, more fees, more waiting, more checking. At the developer level, the fragmentation is even more limiting. If you want to build an application that serves users on any rollup, not just one specific chain, you must either deploy separate instances of your application on each chain and manage them independently, or build complex cross-chain message passing logic from scratch. Neither option is simple or cheap. This is the Ethereum rollup fragmentation problem. It is a direct consequence of successful scaling, more chains processing more transactions, and it is the problem that cross-chain interoperability protocols exist to address. What Omni Network is? Omni Network is an Ethereum-native interoperability protocol and Layer 1 blockchain that enables low-latency communication between all Ethereum rollups. It was founded by Austin King and Tyler Tarsai, both former Harvard students, and launched its mainnet in April 2024 after raising $18 million from investors including Pantera Capital, 2 Sigma, and Spartan Group. The Omni token is the native token of the network, used for gas fees, staking, and governance. Omni's core architecture has several components. The Omni EVM is an Ethereum-compatible execution environment where developers can deploy applications that operate across multiple rollups simultaneously from a single deployment. The XMsg Protocol is the cross-rollup messaging system that allows any contract on any rollup to send messages and trigger actions on any other rollup, with sub-second finality. The Universal Gas Marketplace allows users to pay gas fees in any token rather than needing the specific native token of each chain they interact with. The dual staking security model, one of Omni's most distinctive features, is its security model. Instead of relying purely on its own validator set, which would need to attract and retain stackers independently, Omni uses a dual staking system that combines restaked ETH from EigenLayer with Omni token staking. Validators on the Omni network stake both ETH through EigenLayer and Omni tokens. This dual collateralization means the network security is backed by 2 assets rather than one. The ETH staking component inherits the cryptoeconomic security of Ethereum's validator set, the most well-capitalized and decentralized validator network in existence. The Omni staking adds additional economic commitment from participants who specifically want to participate in Omni's validation. This approach addresses a fundamental bootstrapping challenge for new networks. building meaningful economic security from scratch requires convincing validators to lock up substantial capital in an asset that may have limited value in the early stages. By layering on eigenlayers risk-taking, allowing ETH stackers to simultaneously secure Omni, the protocol can access Ethereum's existing security without needing to recruit and fund a completely independent validator set. The trade-off is complexity. Validators must manage positions in two separate systems. Slashing conditions from both eigenlayer and Omni itself apply. And the Omni token's market value is a factor in the total economic security of the network. If Omni falls significantly in value, the security contributed by Omni staking decreases proportionally. How cross-rollup applications work on Omni. The practical capability Omni enables for developers is the ability to build applications that span multiple rollups without building cross-chain message passing from scratch. When a developer deploys an application using Omni's framework, they deploy to the Omni EVM once and can configure it to operate on any supported rollup. The XMsg Protocol handles the communication. When a user on Arbitrum triggers an action that affects state on Base, the message is routed through Omni, verified by validators, confirmed with sub-second finality, and delivered to the destination rollup. A practical example: an order book DX that wants to aggregate liquidity from traders on all rollups. Without Omni, it would need to deploy separate order books on each chain. With Omni, it can run a single unified order book that receives orders from any rollup and matches them across the entire liquidity pool. Users on Arbitrum and users on Base are trading against the same pool. A lending protocol could similarly maintain one unified collateral and borrow position that spans multiple rollups, allowing a user to deposit collateral on Arbitrum while borrowing against it on Optimism, with the Omni Network handling the cross-chain state synchronization. The Omni token serves three primary functions: paying gas fees on the Omni EVM and for cross-rollup messages, staking by validators to secure the network, and governance participation in protocol upgrades and parameter decisions. The universal gas marketplace is an important demand driver. When users interact with cross-rollup applications built on Omni, they pay gas fees in Omni regardless of which rollup they are transacting on. This creates consistent demand for Omni from every active user of the ecosystem, rather than requiring them to hold the native token of each individual rollup they use. Staking rewards are paid to validators in Omni, creating an additional demand driver as more validators seek to participate in network security. Omni has experienced significant price volatility since launch. From a high of approximately $30 at its peak, it traded at approximately 77 cents in March 2026, a decline of over 97%. This dramatic decline reflects the broader challenges facing newer Layer 1 and interoperability projects in a market where attention and capital have concentrated in more established assets. The competitive landscape: Omni operates in a competitive space that includes Wormhole, Layer 0, and Axlar, all of which provide cross-chain messaging and interoperability services. Each has different technical approaches, security models, and ecosystem positioning. Wormhole, which we covered in episode 119, focuses on general cross-chain messaging across 30-plus blockchains, including non-Ethereum chains. Layer 0 uses a similar multi-chain approach with a different trust model. Axlar focuses on enterprise-grade cross-chain infrastructure. Omni's differentiation is its Ethereum native focus and its specific positioning for the rollup ecosystem. While other protocols support many different blockchains, Omni is designed specifically for Ethereum rollups, understanding the OP stack, the Arbitrum Nitro architecture, and other specific rollup designs at a level that enables tighter integration. This focus may be a strength if Ethereum's rollup ecosystem becomes the dominant layer for on-chain activity, or a limitation if cross-blockchain interoperability beyond Ethereum's ecosystem proves more important. The risks: Omni's primary risk is adoption. The network's value depends on developers building cross-rollup applications using its infrastructure rather than competing solutions, and on users gravitating toward those applications. Building the developer mindshare required to establish Omni as the default cross-rollup messaging layer is a multi-year process. Technical risk remains present in any new blockchain protocol. The XMsg Protocol and the interaction between eigenlayer risk-taking and Omni's own validator set add complexity that has limited real-world stress testing compared to more established systems. The Omni token's dramatic price decline from peak represents a significant trust and momentum challenge. Rebuilding conviction among investors and developers requires demonstrable adoption growth in actual cross-rollup application usage. The takeaway: Omni Network addresses a genuine structural problem in Ethereum's rollup ecosystem, the fragmentation that comes from successful Layer 2 scaling. Its dual staking security model is innovative. Its cross-rollup communication architecture is technically sound, and the problem it is solving is real and growing as rollup adoption increases. Whether it can capture the developer and user adoption required to establish itself as the default interoperability layer for Ethereum rollups is the central open question, and the answer depends on execution over the next 2 to 3 years. As always, this episode is purely educational. We are not promoting or endorsing Omni Network or any other cryptocurrency. Do your own research before making any financial decisions. If today's episode helped you understand crypto a little better, follow the show on Spotify and leave a rating. It helps more beginners find us. Next time on Crypto for Beginners, what is crypto regulation and how are governments catching up? That's next.